I never thought I would live to become 30 years old. Yes. When I was living in the University of Lagos, death was hanging all over me. So in 2019, all those young people that you saw who were saying that they want to know, they were all working for the same master. And when I saw through it,
wow.
Yeah, I didn't waste my time. Where's Fela Dorotoye? APC. He's a special assistant to advisor to Tinubu. They don't appoint you as a special advisor overnight. If you don't get what they do for them.
When they special.
Nigeria has an Igbo problem. And I'm not saying it to please people who are known as Igbos. There is a secret memo in government that whenever we want to take charge in this country, be careful of the Igbo. Don't give them position. Don't give them opportunity. Otherwise, they will overrun. It's a well-known fact. For an Igbo man to survive in Nigeria, as it is currently put together, Nigeria must break.
Wait, the meeting you had with Nnamdi Kanu.
Yes.
You are telling us now that Nnamdi Kanu,
the DSS headquarters. Yes, is it the same DSS people who are watching BB Nigeria from morning to night? Yeah, it's true now. Don't you know what happened, the cop program in this country, where people were slaughtered and their bodies and their heads placed inside the train going down south? Where they were slaughtering them and sending their bodies and their heads inside Calabash and sending on trains that was heading east.
Were they Easterners?
They were Easterners. Before you discovered Peter Obi, I was already running for president. And now because
when we discuss young people in Nigeria today, there's a weight of expectation. And it is good that you have shared your story. And this is indicative of the fact that when people speak of young people, it's not like, the young people today are any different from the young people, from the past. And it was even worse off them because, it was you and other young people standing up to military dictatorship.
Absolutely.
For people who are conversant with history, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida was described as Maradona because he said to know how to dribble. He go to tell you sorry for front, but now him they do you the thing for back. But
he was also deadly because he was the one who killed Vatsa and the coup plot. It was a period they were dropping military officers from the sky. Yes, there was a major air crash that ruined the entire middle cadre military at that time. So it was the period that Charlie Boy sang 1990, which was how I got to know Charlie Boy, where he was singing against the continuous transition. Babangida kept doing transition program every day. He was the one who set up two parties. Then he brought new breeds and old breeds. He was dribbling everybody, but he was also very deadly. It was a time that a lot of people were also killed, assassinated. And that also drifted to the Abacha regime, which is another story.
So for a 21-year-old, what was the driving force? Because, you had parents. You saw for firsthand the experience, how your dad had to move from Ondo State to Lagos, the dean advising your dad to tell you to run.
Yes.
Imagine somebody telling my dad, tell your son to run because they are looking for him. What was the driving force? What was going through your mind?
I have always said it that I don't want to sound like a motivational speaker. I don't know what it is, but I know that I had experiences growing up. When we were in our village, we had police invasion when I was 10 years old. That I said to myself that night.
When you were 17?
When I was 10 years old in my village on Christmas Eve, some young people went and fought police in the marketplace because they used to come for extortion. So it is the time that our Lagos guys come home.
Yeah.
So to show that Lagos guys fit confront police, you go rough handle police. Police came in hundreds at night.
Baba Biafra.
Yes.
You had a meeting with Nnamdi Kanu, and that sparked, in fact,
New York.
Yeah, I think you got arrested after that meeting. People would say, you people are not fighting the same cause. You are fighting to be the president of the country. Yes. He is fighting to divide the country.
Yes.
People would say, why would you be seen in such a meeting? Would you like to clear that air?
Anybody that lacks any sense of consciousness would ignore social movements. That is the problem with Nigerian leadership. You cannot have a country in which there are 251 tribes or language. And one big section says, we are not satisfied with here. And you don't talk to them. You don't understand them. Then you are not a leader of that country. The reason I met him was to understand first what his struggle was about, which I knew already. And secondly, to also advise him on the way that I think we could all work together. And thirdly, to send a message to the Nigerian people that we can walk through our differences, even at these levels. And I was surprised that contrary to what some people are saying, he did not want Nigeria to break up. He wanted a Nigeria where the Igbo man can survive. But for an Igbo man to survive in Nigeria, as it is currently put together, Nigeria must break.
Wait, the meeting you had with Nnamdi Kanu.
Yes.
You are telling us now that Nnamdi Kanu, from what you understand from the meeting with him, he does not want Nigeria to break, to divide.
No, he said clearly that it is too late for Nigeria to come together. But he gave his conditions. We live streamed the meeting now. It's online.
Okay.
And part of it was live streamed. Some of them were private. But he said that he feels that if Nigeria were to respect certain protocols, including a referendum inserted in the constitution, and he still says it even now in court, that if he's released, he will go back and end the bloodshedding. The bloodshedding is in that part, and that a conversation can. He says that in every court appearance, that he's being held is not helping the opportunity to have a conversation about whatever it is, the unity you are begging for. But you see, Nigeria has a problem, and I've always said Nigeria has an Igbo problem, and I'm not saying it to please people who are known as Igbos. But the moment they decided to take the action they took in 1967 to 1970, the war, Nigeria, having wonder when their eyes, never forgave the Igbos. That is the reality. And if I were to be president of Nigeria today, the first thing I would do is to head to the Southeast and apologize to them for the war. Part of it is that I'd never participated in it, and I cannot continue to fight a war that I did not engage in. And then ask them, what do we want?
So are you saying that the federal government has, even before successive governments, they've always had this anger against the Igbos?
There is a secret memo. I don't know where it is located. In the government, that whenever we want to take charge in this country, be careful of the Igbo. Don't give them position. Don't give them opportunity. Otherwise, they will overrun. It is a well-known fact. Even our parents, tell us, Igbo. You understand? Some of them even say unconsciously. They even say it on radio shows in this country. So don't let us lie to ourselves, because except we bring this out openly and discuss, it's a taboo that we have refused to discuss.
True.
We are not going to solve the problem. It is the reason why the federal government of Nigeria feels that in 2024, detaining Nnamdi Kanu against all the court orders, against all the court rulings, is the only way to go. You know, I was detained in the DSS place for 5 months.
Yes.
There is nothing there to detain anybody. For the place is not even functioning. The DSS headquarters. Yes, is it the same DSS people who are watching BB Nigeria from morning to night? No, it's so now. I was there for 5 months. I've said this publicly. So all the institutions in this country are broken down. But let's get back to the reality. One thing I've told people is that you are looking at Igbos as the only people who want to secede. But who in this country today has not mentally seceded from Nigeria?
Mentally seceded.
Who has not left? Except those who are trapped. If anybody in this country is working in a bank and he has 10 million naira and somebody says you can get into Canada, he will leave the next day. I swear. Is that not secession? What of secession is that you leave a country, you say to that country goodbye. You get to the other country, you bow down, you touch the soil. And then you renounce your citizenship of the country you are coming from. Is that not what they call secession? So if you want to look at the number of people that have seceded in that Japa syndrome, there are more than all the Igbos combined together who are asking to leave. And in the process of keeping Nigeria united, we have let go of more citizens than the country should have. Yes.
So you think if they had, because I mean, from the last thing you said now, you say in the process of trying to keep Nigeria united, we have let go of more citizens than we should have.
Of course.
So if we had allowed for the division or secession of Nigeria, most of our citizens that are outside would not have been outside.
No, you see, it is not the secession I'm talking about.
Okay, what are you talking about?
It is what led to the war that we did not address. And what happened after the war. Why is it that Nigeria hasn't been able to overcome the Biafran problem? It's because Nigeria never addressed what the Biafrans were asking for before the war.
What were they asking for?
They were asking for to be treated not as second-class citizens in this country. Don't you know what happened, the court pogrom in this country, where people were slaughtered and their bodies and their heads placed inside the train going down south? Yes, from the north, from the mid, the different parts of the north. Are we ignoring that? So
that happened
before the war?
Before the war. That's what they call pogrom. People who were settled, doing well, they were slaughtering them and sending their bodies and their heads inside calabash and sending on trains that was heading east.
Were they Easterners?
They were Easterners. Why are you asking me? It's there go and Google it now. So you expect that will happen, and then there was a war that eviscerated 3 million people. Wow. And when the war was over, you just say, oh, nobody was vanquished, nobody was victorious. And then
3 hours.
But you still kept a memo and said, don't trust them.
Collect people money, give them 20 pounds.
And then you took their properties. Ojukwu did not get back JAMB until 1992 now, his father's house, that is known as JAMB headquarters here in Ikoyi. It was after he came back from Ivory Coast. It was Babangida, I think, that gave him back their property. So any country that is perpetually carrying out systemic injustice against will lose more citizens than they should have. The reason why countries that are work is because citizens believe in their country. And you cannot force that belief. It has to come through social justice.
True.
It has to come through economic justice. Why is it that, my children can feel like they're US citizens, even though they were born there? It's because before they let you take them out of the hospital, they must take all their immunity, everything, injections. You cannot put them at home and not go back to the doctor to go and complete it. And when it's time for school, they cannot be out of school for 2 days. And you'll be saying that, no, I want Shikira to go and be selling pure water. He will go to jail. So, and then when it's time for them to go to college, there is loan, there is grant, You
are talking far. If you burn them in the hospital, you cannot even go home with that child if they've not approved you to go home with the child.
Not only that, you cannot even throw your child up in the hospital. The way we do it here, now we just start playing with your child. You can't. You're not allowed to just let your child fly in the air. You say you want to ruin their brain. When we're born, we see happens now. They will put hot water in your ass. They will be murmuring. They will be using hot, a rag to be pushing your head together. In the process, maybe that's where they shift some of our brains.
Now why no correct?
So it is fundamental that we understand that what makes people feel like citizens is what their country has to offer to them. And then they in turn would offer something back to their country. Sometimes their life. Yeah. And it's because some people ask me, why would you have all this life and come back and be suffering here? I said to them, we are built differently. Some of us, this is how we designed our convictions. There are some of us that even fight for country we have never been to before. I fight for Palestinians. I fight for South Africans. Why can't I fight for my own people? Nigerians. 200 million people on the largest continent on earth.
Still on the election.
Before election, not this. Before election.
Based on the last thing that he said.
Okay.
Sorry, my brother.
No problem.
He said, you fight for Palestinians. You fight for South Africans. Why can't you fight for Nigerians? I mean, maybe this question should be later end. But let me just bring it up before I forget. Do you ever regret fighting for Nigerians? Because there are some times that you go online, you see some things, and look at the people I'm fighting for. They are busy talking about Cruz. They are busy talking about who is fighting. They are busy talking about whiskey.
Some people say Zukwani.
Some people now say, Sowore, Zukwani. You too, rest in Jesus' name. Do you ever regret fighting for these people?
No. The only thing people must understand about fighting for people is that it's a thankless job.
It's a thankless job.
Yeah, if you expect something from it, you'll be very, very disappointed. And that's where the trauma comes from for people who sometimes will just get arrested by police one time and you never hear from them again. Because that period that you have expectation for people to rise and support you, and if they are not there, it traumatizes people a lot. I know what it is. It's really part of reasons why if I hear that somebody is suffering oppression, I intervene in the best possible way I can to get them out. Because it's a very slippery slope. But for me, I don't expect anything from anybody. I don't expect to be paid. I don't expect to be praised. If I was expecting something from people, when I wanted to start Sahara Reporters, I would have been putting pictures of rich people. It's the easiest way to get rich. Just go to their weddings,
form magazines,
put them there in the best, ask them to bend, and take nice pictures of them. That's not the way to offend people. But I took the route of offensive journalism. And that means you are fighting powerful people. And powerful people are very powerful in such a way that even some of the most reasonable people can be asked by powerful people to work against their own interests.
And they will do it
more than the people who are oppressing them. And that's what Nigeria has shown us. Some of the people who are most virulent in attacking people who are doing good themselves don't benefit anything. It's called programming.
True.
They've been programmed. That's their own default position. To fight, first and foremost, the person who's for them. And lastly, if at all, the person who's against them.
Interesting.
Yes.
So, my question is on activism.
Yes.
And activists. Now, it's good that you have mentioned, and I'm sure that, many young people can go on Google now and find out more information about some of the people that you have mentioned. Some of the people where maybe being talk say, who is this Baba is doing too much. Shebi una don't hear the story of Baba Femi Falana. So just do your own research.
Exactly.
People they went on, they do so many things. And you have mentioned people like, Gani Fawehinmi, rest in peace, Anikulapo Kuti, Beko Larry, so many people,
Sankara.
But I want to ask a question, because we have seen activists well celebrated now become something else. I don't want to use them when they're too strong, but I'll give an example.
Yes.
One of the most popular labor leaders in Nigeria or in Nigerian history is Comrade Adams Oshiomhole. Comrade Adams Oshiomhole, all we needed to hear was him say, we are going to shut down the country. And everyone would rally and do so. He contested on the platform of the Labour Party, won the elections, had his mandate stolen, went to court. I remember Okada riders accompanying him to court. In fact, police come begin the beg, say, if they come, maybe people don't follow him. Because they could feel that wave. He retrieved his mandate. The Supreme Court, returned the mandate. And then he switched political parties. Became the chairman of that same political party. And was even captured in a video footage saying, if you come to our party,
your sins are forgiven.
Now, as a young boy who grew up in Isolo area of Lagos and who sometimes had to wave
Nigerian flag.
No, green leaves. Because that time when
protest,
riots happen,
yes.
people go put out for their windshield. Just thinking about it now and looking at the situation now, I begin to wonder, does activism have expiry date?
Let me intervene.
Thank you, sir.
And I will tell you, with benefit of experience and history, Oshiomhole was never an activist. You can go and check this out anyway. And I will send you, after the show, a press conference we did in 1992 or so. Where Oshiomhole and a guy named Pascal Bafiao, he was a former NLC President, had a deal with Babangida to increase fuel price and supported it.
In 1992?
Yes, I did a press conference where we named him as the enemy of students. Because of what he did when they first started this whole fuel increase. Oshiomhole was part of it. Oshiomhole was never part of the pro-democracy movement. He was one of the few labor leaders during Abacha's time who was living in Abuja, where all the activists had run away from this country. And I've said this several times. What Oshiomhole was doing at the period you are describing is what we call organized outrage. You go and meet Obasanjo, Baba, increase the fuel price. We will fight small. You will come put them back to the place where it's supposed to be. You are happy, I'm happy. Wow. That was what Oshiomhole was doing. And I've said this openly, but since you have greater reach, he can challenge me that I said, and I'll send you a copy of the press release and press conference, not even press.
The conference itself.
We sat at the press conference, invited the press, because that's how we communicated during our days. We did a lot of world press conferences, and we went after them. In fact, when Abiola's election was annulled, part of the places the students invaded was the NLC secretariat at Yaba. Because they were in bed with the military, Pascal Bafiao. And Oshiomhole, they were the labor leader. He didn't start today with this Oshiomhole you are saying. They have been doing labor leadership for a long, long time. So they were the part of the labor movement that sold out. Kokori, who was in Pengassan and
Frank Kokori.
Yes, they were the original people in labor who really shut down the country. And they were arrested and kept in detention. Look, I think Kokori was released after Abacha died. Wow. Ask why nobody arrested and detained Oshiomhole. Even small me at that time, I was going in and out of detention, including by DSS. If they detained him, it must have been an arranged detention. But then you get one video when they tear gas under Obasanjo. And that's why I say organized outrage now. You can arrange police to tear gas. Yes. Wow. They can arrange police to tear gas you now. But that was under. We are talking about serious fight against military.
So the one you just said now that is scattering my head now, because I'm now trying to marry it because.
So we have activists for a reason.
Activists for a season. Activists for a reason and activists for a season.
You mentioned earlier that he was the most prominent. He wasn't. The most prominent labor leader in Nigeria is Michael Imodu. And he was one of the people, first in Nigeria's history, to be restricted to a city by the colonial masters. Auchi. The second person to be restricted to a city was Obafemi Awolowo. Lekki. Not this Lekki where you people are. There's still a real Lekki after Dangote Refinery. Yes. That's where the real Lekki is. It's the real Lekki town. Is after Dangote Refinery.
Not the first one here.
Not the faces you have here. And then the third person, of course, was myself in 2019 when I was restricted to Abuja for 3 years. So when you are talking about real labor leaders, don't mention Oshiomhole.
What of Joe Ajero?
It is a secret in our within our circles that everybody knows Oshiomhole, to be Agaracha labor leader.
What of this Joe Ajero now?
Well, Joe Ajero, as far as I have seen, doesn't seem to have a problem with the government. I think it's the government that even have a problem with his little activism. And I've told him that we need to know who is after who. Because how can you be labor leader in this period and the government is comfortable with you? You understand? You can't even do a strike for more than 1 day. I attended one of their strike. It was supposed to be for 2 days. The middle of the first day, they have disappeared on us. The second day, they didn't even bother to tell us. And so since that time, I have respected myself, So because, anytime when you see activists for Abuja, we get business card, they run.
Activists will get business card.
So, what's pocket?
So wait, this Joe Ajero that is shouting, why do people increase fuel price?
You must revert.
Immediately.
So it's government that is even telling me, Baba, come. They strike.
Yeah, exactly. No, if they want to strike, it is the government that you will see in their action. Any strike that you do by 12 noon, you're always inside the villa. It's like, did you even plan to be? Were you in the villa when the strike started? Because the next day they're already in the villa. Yes. I don't understand those kind of strike. In the days of real labor leadership, when labor leaders organize strike that's going to hurt the government, they disappear. They go underground. You can't find them. Yes. In our days, some of the labor leaders that we used to work with, do you know where we used to hold meetings? At Ojuelegba. There's a place called 42nd Avenue. At Ojuelegba. At night, it's a red light district. Now there where they hold meeting because police no fit suspect say
that happened there.
Because at that time they don't already arrest Bear, caught them, Ghanaian them, they don't raid in chambers, kill they shot one of his guards. So nobody was going to any of those official places to carry. In fact, the day Abacha died, we were in a meeting with a guy called Zikirulai. And Zik is what we call him. And somebody just said, go and listen to VOA or it was VOA or BBC that Abacha has died. We said no. Only to go out and see jubilation. Policemen flinging their berets from that Western Avenue police station. I think it's area A on the street. It's the first time and last time I hugged police from Lagos. Everybody was, and I was asking, but why now they shoot us now? I said, what do we do? But that's another story for another day.
I want to ask you. This person now organized outrage, this, that. Who can you see, or which people can you say in this government? Because let's say in the next elections you come out and you win, who can you actually work with the people? I mean, you can't avoid them, you can't throw them away. Who can you actually, or which people can you actually say, okay, I can work with this person, I can work with this one, oh, this one is nice.
Why that man is organizing this?
No, you see, it is not as simple as that. The people that you can work with are there. And a lot of them are underground as well. There are a lot of young people in this country who are conscious, by the way. But the prevailing circumstances is such that a lot of people cannot even come out and function. There are people in the diaspora who you can work with. If this country starts to function just a little bit, just like Ghana, a lot of people will return back home. All this one where I
agree.
They don't already jackpot, they go jackpot. Because even jackpot itself is trauma that people had not anticipated. A lot of people who left this country didn't know what they were going for.
Yes.
Now they have reached that destination. It's not the destination. Nigeria is the only place, of being abroad is not a define. You are just a glorified stranger.
But the rather still be there than
yes, but you prefer to be there because at least it gives you a sense of dignity as a human being that your country has robbed you of.
Yes.
The fact that you can walk out of your house, go on the street, you can buy a car, you can own a house. But the question when you start growing up there is, do you really own the house? Do you own the car? This is where I want to be, especially when weather is not favorable. When you have that winter depression, where you start to ask, my mama, make I come back, or understand that. So there's a lot of things that goes into that psychological state of mind. So, but the question is, who can I work with? Of course, there are a lot of people we can work with. A lot of people. But should I start naming them?
Just name one or two.
It's not necessary, because I have demonstrated over time that we can find people who have courage and people we can work with. So one of the things I tell people is that if you can find people who can fight for Nigeria, you should be able to find people who can do even less dangerous. It's more dangerous to do what I do now than to govern this country. It's easier to govern Nigeria.
Yes.
Because the president of Nigeria is in London. So he's just issuing circulars and some of them are text message. So you can imagine how easy it is to be in London, flying in a jet that is $150 million, staying in one of the best hotels or houses over there.
Do you have a problem with this government?
I have a problem with anybody, for that matter, who has misgoverned Nigeria. And that's important.
Do you think this government and the leaders of this government have misgoverned Nigeria?
Of course. It's not that I think, I know it.
Do you mean, our president and every other person, they've misgoverned the country?
Yes.
And how do you think, why do you think so? What are the things that you can point to that say, okay, now what will make me feel, say, okay, this person don't misgovern Nigeria and this person don't misgovern Nigeria?
Make we go the road where I take come here to this estate. Just let's start from there.
True that.
Now, you say, if by just the road, because someone will tell you, there are bad roads everywhere.
No, there are no bad roads everywhere. There are a lot of places where there are good roads in the world. So I think part of our problem sometimes is that we always choose the worst things elsewhere to compare what we have
and
here.
console ourselves
with it. There are no bad roads everywhere. You can have percentages of bad roads in some places because some of us have been, maybe, I won't say lucky, but we're exposed enough to have seen, I've been to 30 countries around the world. And I've been as far as Australia and as close as Ghana. So people cannot just make a blanket statement that there are bad roads everywhere, there are bad schools everywhere. No, in those 30 countries that I've been to, I've seen some of them are like small countries like Barbados, in the Caribbean, where there are good schools and the entire length of this place is 26 miles square. That means if you are driving from here to Shagamu, you're already covered.
They don't cover the full country.
They don't have oil. Their water is made from desalinization. They take salt out of seawater. They provide it. The electricity is made simply by also using seawater. So why should we say that there are bad roads everywhere? When you go to Ondo State, I'm just using one example, between Ore and Akure, the road has been awarded 20 times for dualization. And somebody chopped the money and you are saying there are bad roads somewhere, everywhere. We can't be saying that now. We have to be fair to ourselves too. We must demand from these people, the people who have governed Nigeria, that they owe us the responsibility to account for everything that they are paid for and that they have been entrusted.
And they've also promised.
The promises may not even be something you can hold on. The truth is that who makes promises anymore? If you go and ask Tinubu now that he promised you something, he can completely deny that he never promised because he never went to any debate. He did not do any interviews. Not even with his own TV station did he interview with during the election.
Which is the TV station?
TVC. Yes, one of TVC. So he didn't interview with The Nation, which is his newspaper. So where would you get the promise from apart from what APC told you they will do? You can tell you already somebody who is denying that, somebody who is saying that the last government is bad. As if he didn't know he was not part of the government. You are the national leader of APC under Buhari. You people are the ones who were enjoying the government. You are the ones nominating ministers, special assistants, and collecting contracts. Suddenly, you are telling us that you are not part of that government. So
there are people. Do you have any sort of relationship with him, the president?
No, because it is part of what I'm saying. That
no relationship whatsoever.
None. If you have a relationship with them, they don't even have to tell people. One of their assistants will put it out. Which can she will read that? Common text message where Idris Abdul Karim sent to Koyamo. Release them. Just WhatsApp messages where people they take play. They don't release them now. Say, which kind she will read that we don't see them for. First, in 1999, when he came from abroad after the whole military rule and he was running I met him on the street somewhere. I don't want to describe his state. I've said it. It's not necessary on this show. And then the second time was during the Presidential Peace Committee that we had in 2023, where he sat next to me.
And
then he was.
I saw the video.
He was struggling to have my program with him. And I said to him, because when he came in, he said, President Sowore. I was like,
he called you a president?
Yes, no, they don't have problem with that. Is what the Yoruba say, they just look at you like these crazy people. Let's call them whatever they want them to call them. And then he stretched his hand, not his right hand, but his left hand to shake hand with me. So I quickly, just because if it was photographed, they can say that maybe we are in some kind of secret call together. And it might even make this assertion to be more, legit. Don't you see that they shook hands?
They get
some kind of way.
Yeah, they will say they'll be Ogboni now. You understand? So get where did they meet? So I quickly removed my hand. So he was...
You don't check him?
No, he shook me, but I also shook him with my left hand and removed it. I think, and I've been told that his right hand is bad. Yes. I'm not a doctor, but I think he's struggling with the right hand. So his first attitude is to protect that. And you notice that when they're shaking the right hand, most people will use two hands. They hold it first and shake it.
Okay.
His aides, they do that a lot. So, and then I started focusing on the program. And then I started looking at my program. And then next I see he was struggling with me to read my program. So I said to him, so you have your own program. Now, because he has two programs, one on the right. And he just said in Yoruba, Jeka Jamaka now. So I left the program for him. Because in my mind, I'm thinking this guy wants to prove that I'm close to him. And there are like cameras going off everywhere. Interestingly, nobody then showed the point where I was talking to him. The only part of the program I saw was where, in fact, one guy went and made a whole show about it that, I was talking to him and all that. Then the chairman of their party, Ganduche, kept him busy. I think they were afraid that he might fall asleep. So he just kept talking to him and talking to him. And he too kept talking throughout the event. I remember specifically when Buhari was reading his listen, and he was making fun of Buhari. Look at this one. He wants to use currency to solve Nigeria corruption problem. He was just like soliloquizing throughout the time. And at the point, even Ganduje was like, because people could hear him just mocking Buhari, and I was sitting next to him. I was between him and Peter. So I just focused throughout because in my mind, I think he was trying to create a scenario where it will be believable that somehow
you guys
I know his
pals like that.
And I've never met him more than those 2 times in my life.
Wow.
Okay, so...
Yeah, Tony, you wanted to ask a question?
Yes, sir. So you've run for presidency twice now, and you've been fighting for major political reform, right? So what do you see actually as the major obstacle preventing you from reaching the systemic change that you envision for Nigeria?
I do believe that there's nothing that is right in the country that could make it possible for a just and fair situation to arise in this country. It's not just about me alone. Because we've reached a level that even if tomorrow everybody decides to vote for me in this country, somebody will rewrite the result to favor the person who may not even have participated in the election. Wow. And they will announce it and damn the consequences.
And nothing will happen.
And they know that nothing will happen. They, of course, will tell you, go to court. But don't forget, they are the ones who just appointed 11 justices into the Supreme Court. In the US, if a single judge of the Supreme Court is to be appointed, the whole country will shut down. Everybody will be asked, are you his classmates? There will be hearings. Here, I don't even think if I ask you, you know the names of the 11 judges that were nominated by Tinubu into the Supreme Court. You might know that of the Court of Appeal because it's Wike's wife was one of them. So that one was
and the lady too.
Yes. It was Wike's wife that put those ones in trouble. That's how we got to know who they are. But that's the kind of country you are in. It is the reason why in 2019, I then came to a conclusion that we must have a hard conversation about how to make the next move. And I seriously believe that only a revolution can bring about that order that we give life to the good people of this country.
I was coming to that place to ask you, why do you think revolution?
Because in every circumstance where a revolution has happened in the world, all the objective conditions that are here were present. The only thing that is the ingredient we haven't added to it, the Maggi that we have not added, is a conscious populace.
For revolution, people will die.
No, it's not. See, let me tell you. On October 1, we had the protest. We're supposed to be a nationwide protest. The police were afraid to kill people because they killed in August. Yes, a lot of people. But do you know the number of people that died in a boat capsized in Niger? 160. So is it revolution that killed them? Or is the condition of their country that led to that situation? Because if Nigeria were to be functioning, it's preventable death. I'm not saying that people will not die even if the country is the best. I mean, Florida just went through a major flood.
And they're still going.
People died.
Yeah, they just went
but
through.
The reason why you are not panicking about it is because, they have a government that at least, we bring helicopters, we bring rafters and rescue people. I'm sure that they're even rescuing cats now.
Yeah.
So that's how important the life of a cat is to them than our life is important to our government. So you could be in any situation and die. Anything can kill you in this country. A whole luxurious bus can fly into the river. Nobody is even making any attempt to rescue them. So it is not the fear of death. It's not the reason why we should not advance a different political agenda.
You didn't know the fear death.
Well, it is not something I argue anymore because I never knew, and I'm sure you hear this from a lot of people, that I will live to become 50. I never thought I would live to become 30 years old. Yes. When I was living in the University of Lagos, death was hanging all over me. Because I wasn't only after the military. It got to a point we also had to fight internally against cultism on campus. And I was attacked by cult gangs on campus. So, when you open the face of different, enemies, around you. So, but I have lived a life in which I don't even wash my back anymore. This is no longer necessary. I can't protect myself. And I do not believe that anybody can protect me.
You know, also worried for your family if you're not protecting yourself. How about your family? Because if they don't feel reach you for here, they go feel see reach your family.
But you can reach my family. But those ones at least have a general belief that they can be protected by their own
government
leaders, their own country. Well, let's also be very global in our thinking. That the struggle for liberation, when it gets to a point, can reach you anywhere. I wanted to mention earlier that when I met Nnamdi Kanu in 2019, he said to me, "Are you going to Nigeria?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Are you mad? I just left Nigeria. They came to kill me in my house. They killed 28 people."
Wow.
And I remember telling him, I said, "If you are still doing this Biafran thing, you are not safe anywhere. Because there's a global interest to keep Nigeria the way it is." So
global interest.
Oil can keep flowing in direction of multinationals. There are people whose interest is to make sure Nigeria doesn't progress so that the black man will not find his feet. So anybody who is also fighting them here, you are fighting that global economic interest. And that is what was clear to us during Ken Saro-Wiwa's death. The world could have saved Ken Saro-Wiwa. Even Mandela refused to make the call. So Abacha. He said he called Abacha. Abacha didn't pick. All of them could have made that call and said, "Look, if you touch this guy, we are going to give you hell." But because, Ken Saro-Wiwa went and pressed the red button, which is oil. Do you know why? Ogoniland has over 62 billion cubic feet of gas.
62 billion.
This is not even oil.
Gas.
Oil, because what most people don't understand is that oil is going out of business. But gas is going to be around for a long time.
Yes.
So that is what they're interested in protecting. And the guy who started saying, "We own the thing," I was like, "What's your problem now, guy, man?" And they finished him. Global conspiracy. It's the same thing they did to Kanu now. How do you think that Kanu was kidnapped in Kenya and brought to Nigeria, and there's no manifest of the plane that brought him to today? Even judges cannot ask for it. How did he get to Nigeria from Kenya? Who was the person who abducted him from the underground garage? Who was he expecting that made him to drive privately to that place and got kidnapped? Who are the people that kidnapped him? Because the Kenyan government came to court and said, "We're not aware. We don't know who did this." You cannot. Is it possible to fly a plane, a private jet, out of an airport without two governments getting involved? How can it be more secretive? It's because there are global conspiracies involved too. And it was as if I was being prophetic. The day he was brought back, I was at the Federal High Court. No, it was Court of Appeal, and they said, "Kanu has just been brought back to Nigeria." I said, "How?" They put a hood over his head, even in court. I ran down there. Before I got there, they had already arranged some kangaroo, with the judge. The judge said, "Go and detain him." And that's been his situation since then. So I'm saying that we are also conscious at our level that we are not also dealing with local interests. And I think my family understands that. Because don't forget, my younger brother was also killed a few years ago on his way from school in, close to Benin City. My direct younger brother. And till today, the police did not disclose to us who did it. Even initially they said it was Fulani herdsmen. They sent us some pictures of people they claim were Fulani herdsmen. But my younger brother was killed at a police checkpoint that they claim had been vacated by the police. So, yes, it's heavy.
global conspiracy to keep Nigeria where it is.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
Anybody who is doing this who doesn't understand that is not ready for a Nigeria of the future.
But people would say the definition, except you have another definition of your own revolution, but the main definition of revolution is forceful, takeover. And like Nedu said, bloodshed and stuff like that. How do you intend to make this work without also endangering the...
No,
because Nigerians are scared. The truth is, Nigerians are scared to
they are
die.
fearful people, yes, I understand. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you can, under any circumstance, get total liberation without a fight.
Yes.
Because even protests, they shoot at people. But what makes a revolution sweet is that it's the numbers you introduce into it. If a number of people, huge number of people can convince themselves that it's time to move and they move together, you have limited casualty. You have limited casualty because the people who want to kill you will be outnumbered. That's why revolutions are very popular and sweet. But to say that somehow I can guarantee you that the day after we will not count some casualties, including some of ourselves.
Do you think we'll ever get there where we'll say all of us will revolt?
Yes, I believe so. And I just hope that when we get there, it will be done by reasonable people.
The question I also want to ask you is, this one that you just said, you just hope that it will be done by reasonable people, which means it can be hijacked and turned into something.
It's not hijacked. It just means that,
people who have the interest.
People, it's like you have people who still speak English and grammar now, who are leading some of these movements. It could get to a point where it could just be like people are tired of even the grammar speaking.
Well, no one hear anything.
They just want to shut down everything. And it's exactly what Ken Sarewa was saying when his last statement at the tribunal that Abacha set up to kill him, that he will be the last person to use non-violence to solve Niger Delta problem. A few years later, you saw what happened.
Another question I want to ask is, you
saw armed struggle, full scale in Niger Delta region. And Niger Delta region has not recovered from that today. Had they listened to Ken Sarewa and started addressing the issues of environmental degradation, economic justice in the Niger Delta region, as far back as 1995, we wouldn't have had an Asari Dokubo, a Boilof, and the rest of the guys who went and started the next phase of the struggle in Kayama.
Now, the question I want to ask is, if I be you, I probably would think this way. Because the people you're fighting for, I've asked you this question if you regret it. Another side of the question is, do you think if Nigerians were thinking differently, if then they say, okay, we go stand behind this person, say things for they different? Because I remember during the election, now only one person, now I know, with the shout, if I go vote anybody, it was Danny Freeze. If not get sense, do you think Nigerians really know what they want? Well, or we are just moving by...
Yeah. What I would tell you is this. The situation of Nigeria today was properly planned.
Oh, wow.
Yes. When they started defunding education in the 70s, and then removing free education, healthcare, they were planning for the citizens that you have today. Yes. Because the easiest people to lead are ignorant people. And you will find out that the last set of people who can still stand up in Nigeria today and speak with dignity are some of the people who had free education, and some of them who went abroad to go to school, funded by the Nigerian people. And some of them, regardless of what happened, they will never leave this country. So we have to be careful not to also be too hard on the victims. Because all these people you are talking about, the people who hate you and I for speaking truth, they are the victims of the Nigeria that has been programmed to fail over time. So when they were doing structural adjustment program, and that's why I was telling you about the global conspiracy against them, they knew that it will produce this kind of country. Now they know that this economic system will be broken. When they are saying don't fund electricity, they know that Kaduna textile will collapse because they can't afford. It is easier for you to buy Ankara from China today.
Yes.
And very soon, Gary.
It's very soon, Gary.
Yes. China is actually have taken the Gary technology to China. And they're going to be importing Gary here if they have not started it already. If that one is too far from you, what about the cashew that they are reprocessing in China that you are buying in your supermarkets now? Cashew, yes.
At Uturu, there's a large cashew absu now.
Yes.
There's cashew plantation. Uturu is cashew.
All the timbers that are leaving Calabar, they are going to China to be processed and sold back to you, or Turkey, and sold back to you as bulletproof wooden doors. So if the moment you don't have that capacity to process your raw materials, you have lost out. And that is what they were doing with structural adjustment program that people didn't pay attention to in those days. So Nigeria did not happen to the victims you are looking at overnight. You know, and then when they came with the distractions, you know, and entertainment was supposed to not be a distraction. But when it got here,
It became a distraction.
you know, I was in the US where they were doing Big Brother USA. And some 20 years later, I came back to Nigeria and they are still doing it. The people who started it in the USA have forgotten that they even did any show like that. And I was like, wow, what a fundamental distraction a society could get. But don't also forget that education doesn't come from classroom alone. Sometimes it comes from suffering. Yes.
Education doesn't come from classroom.
Classroom alone.
Sometimes it comes from suffering.
Yes. So a lot of people have also become very conscious as a result of their very horrible experiences in the hands of Nigeria. The way you put it is people that Nigeria has happened to. And that is a pool that I said could surprise you.
Why you were
Baba Govt, now this question.
Yes.
The current state of the country and some of your experiences from the past, it is clear that when we attempt to find solutions to the problems of Nigeria, sometimes we look at it and say, is it that these people don't have sense? Or I am the only sensible one? I'll state two examples. You mentioned that the first time you were beaten by the police was in 1992.
Yes.
And nearly 20 or almost 20 years after,
2021.
somebody just called their boss.
Yes.
Sowore did there. And then
broke your nose.
descended on you.
Yes.
Now, in 2020, Nigerians came out in their numbers to ask for that rogue unit of the police force to be disbanded.
Yes.
And call for improvement in the welfare of police officers.
Yes.
These same people that Nigerians were fighting for are the same people who turned against Nigerians.
Yes.
Some of them, not
Some
all.
of them.
Because some go tell you, say, this one I do not the truth, but we not fit talk am. And you mentioned another example of when Abacha died.
Yes.
And it was the first and last time that you found a police
Policeman.
officer.
By accident, too.
By accident. So them too, they rejoiced that time, then they happy.
Oh, yes.
But when he reached to say, these same people, when we dey fight against, when we the oppressors, now them they still they use.
Yes.
How does that even make any sense?
So it will make sense because it's foundational. Nigeria's problem is foundational to a large extent. So Nigeria has two major problems. One is foundational and the other one is institutional. But the foundation has started first. You must look at what is the foundation of the Nigerian police. It was founded to protect the business called Nigeria.
Not the people.
Not the people.
by the colonial
In fact, the Nigeria police used to be called Kasina Askari. So
Askari.
They have transformed to different. At the time, it was for the regional police. So they are transformed from time to time. But just look at why they were created. They were not created to protect the people. They were created to protect their oppressors. And it started with the white colonialists. So there was never a time the police looked back and said, now people where we there for. And the people who are now programming them to do what they do, you see their curriculum, the way they train them, now still to be wicked. And to be more wicked, they will put them for barracks where human beings no fit stay for. That's how you dehumanize. That's how you do what I call animalize people.
You break them, break their
You
spirits.
make people just behave like animals by putting them in situations that animals even cannot be in. So it's one of the things I used to tell people when they say, oh, Nnamdi Kanu, there's some people who have grudge against Nnamdi Kanu, they call Nigeria zoo. I said to them, zoo that I've been to is better than Nigeria.
Hey.
I'm serious. I've been to zoos before that the animals have doctors. They take naps. They serve siesta, monkeys. They'll carry them and go. And then they'll bring them, when they have children, they have their offspring, they'll take care of them. They will even announce it on TV. Say this animal is just born. And celebrate for us. Say just born because it never born in the last 3 years. That's how zoos, animals in the zoo are treated. Which Nigeria where you see where their leaders they treat animals for modern day zoos, so not be the zoo where they for Ibadan. And I make the lions they chop the people where be zookeepers these days because even those ones they don't do inside the military mode.
Our own for Nigeria, yes. Lion the thief money. Now snake the thief money.
So but that's what you must understand that is a fundamental problem with how the police was set up. And it's the reason we say until we have that sudden change.
Yeah.
And to wake up in a Nigeria where people understand that police is a department for law enforcement and law and order. It's not a force that should force people to do what they should not do or make people become, disillusioned about having a police. After they are giving me tickets, the police is giving me ticket before, and after he gave me ticket, I said, please, I missed my way. He described the road for me. Even a police for Nigeria, Say you they ask me road.
We follow you. You go give us 20.
Okay, maybe we'll go back like this. You understand? So it's crazy how these things have been programmed from, and we are talking about police. It's not only police. You understand? And that is why the police, as an organization or as officers, can't process when you say, "Oh, pay them salaries," you know, because which police they rely on salary.
Second question for me before I yield the mic.
Yeah.
So if we look at the political class and those who say we want to effect change, it would appear like, you have mentioned global conspiracies. Thinking about it now, it would appear like some of us, they expect too much from people who know what they do.
Yes.
And that is why it is easy that this person is a member of this political party in the morning, and by afternoon,
the person
don't become another party. Then for evening, they will accuse the person of anti-party.
Yes.
Now, those who want to effect change in Nigeria, it would also appear like maybe they don't trust each other, or they are not working in unison. And the reason I would say this is because in 2019, yourself, Kingsley Moghalu, Obieze Kwesili, and so many other Nigerians were of the opinion that we need to leave these two major political parties and go for a new one. But it be like, say, una do meeting tire. One person don't agree for the other person.
Even now, Seth.
Let me answer that.
Peter Obi and you. Now, people are saying at the same thing. Why are not joined together?
I will come to that because I know this question will come up.
Thank you.
See, I think one of my biggest faults in Nigeria is that I'm way ahead of my time. Yes. And I'm not saying it to brag. That's what I've discovered. See, in 2019, all those young people that you saw who were saying that they want to they were all working for the same master. And when I saw through it,
wow.
I didn't waste my time. I only attended one of their meetings because there are some of us that have an antenna that is called rubbish detector. The moment we see them like this, we smell them. We just tell us because they don't betray us tire for university over and over. So and the reason why I say this is go and ask yourself, those people, where them day today? Where's fella Dorotoye? He's a special assistant advisor to Tinubu. They don't appoint you as a special advisor overnight. You don't get what you they do for them.
When they special.
Sure, you understand? So you go count all the people.
Kingsley Moghalu and the rest.
Kingsley Moghalu is the only one that is left out there. But Kingsley Moghalu made it very clear at our meetings that him, get problem with the old order too much because this old order, they tell them say they don't want too much radicalism for now. Now make them go greet Babangida for house. I'll be the only candidate. There's also a friend of mine from who's also serving in the Tinubu, Tope Fashwa. We're all in that group now. Kingsley Moghalu, I'm the only candidate. We no enter any palace. I know they enter palace. I go some palaces, but on the ground, say they go agree, say I know they prostrate. The reason we say if I see Oba they prostrate for governor, I know if they prostrate for
you
her.
again.
If I see Oba where they prostrate for pastor, I know if they prostrate for her. So that confusion, I don't get confusion about where I stand. And I don't think that an Oba needs me to date my clothes. Before you show reverence, you understand? All those reverence, we don't pass that stage. When somebody will sit down on top throne, they thought say you must come and kneel down for him.
But they kneel down for
they kneel down for, and the get person where they kneel down for. We not even reach you in terms of integrity. So, and a part of the problem we must solve with that because part of the problem is we too they over respect people. Where is the person that say guy? Yes, they will say they be elders. Don't talk to them like that. But the truth be say, for person to be elder, you must earn it, not be by old age. You go and get what you don't do for society before they give you the title of elder. That is what our culture says. You know, they kidnap children, make you come graduate to be elder. You know, be thief for any village. When village still be village, make they come call you elder. Now people will be responsible. Now they call it. That's why Yoruba they talk say elders no fit dey town, make picking head, make fall for one side.
Yes.
But the elders where they this country now, where they snap children neck. Now you can't tell me say they be elders. No, that's the truth. And sometimes people will say, Sowore, respect elders. I respect elders. Only say you get specific elders where I respect.
Specification.
Yes, I get my specs of elders. People like Soyinka now, I respect them. But Soyinka no go actually say make you prostrate for them. You don't need them. Because he doesn't need you to prostrate to be called Soyinka. Anytime when you see elders where they look for respect everywhere, under cooking pot, under carpet, make you know say you get insecurity where they worry.
So why are you not?
And I wanted to come to. So you see that 2019, yeah. Peter will be on. And be say, I get issue with anybody we don't govern this country. At any, whether you be local government or state or you be national, we no fit show me what you do. Make you listen,
okay.
You know, because most of them no say I know Peter Obi. I know Peter Obi since when he become governor for Anambra State. In fact, I be one of the people where they support Peter Obi that time when he be governor. So when Obasanjo want take Andy back, come on time. Now we they report all the judgments mago way they do. We keep Peter Obi in power. But when Peter Obi finish for Anambra State, one question where I ask, we say, you will be Peter Obi. If you send your child go any university where you do for there, no answer. You yourself, you enter any hospital for Anambra that you have governed for 8 years. Where if you get headache, make you treat yourself for there. No. And the Nigerians will talk, say, Peter Obi, I said, na packaging. Nobody knows how to package things. I ask people, say, you feel pack your load now, say, my next vacation. Anambra, I won't go spend them. Nobody will answer me. Because for me, governance not be something where you go talk, say, lesser evil. There's no lesser evil in my books. If you are evil, you are evil. If you are good, you are good. But I am not interfering with people who have emotional attachments to people. Some people, if you talk, say, like a friend of mine said, I don't care whether Peter Obi is good or is the turn of the Igbos. No, he's not. I was younger than him. The SDP guy is 50 years, even younger than me in the last election. It's the turn of the Igbos. Now I tell the guy, say, who tell you say I not be Igbo? Yes.
Are you Igbo?
You don't know exactly. Because even South Africa is what they call Bantus. Not be Igbos then be. Now from here, where they go in the Benue Trough.
Yes.
Go there.
Yes.
So if you never do DNA test, you know if you know who be Igbo. Some Americans they now when they do DNA test, they discover say they're Igbo. Are you more Igbo than them?
Some Jamaicans, mostly Jamaicans also.
But that's on a less serious note. So I have a general disdain for non-performance.
But what did he do that you can say, now this thing with Peter Obi they do? Because you mentioned that you said he's been packaged. So are you telling us that all those
things he saved money when he was leaving the office? There was money.
So where the money was saved? Which bank in there?
He said he was in the bank.
He said he was in the bank.
Fidelity Bank.
So you they accept if another person tell you that kind of story, say he said he's in the
So are you saying he's lying?
The person will take over from Obiano, talks in a lie, the video day. Say they don't save any money. In fact, say them owe money. That the money that they claim to save, they don't already owe them to contractors. This one they put now go cover them up because una like una candidates.
No,
I'm telling you now. This one is public information now. They do. Not before I should be aware. I know you. Other material. Not before I the time where we did interview for 2019. Peter will be there outside that time.
No,
that's why they ask questions that time now. So why una no come ask question for 2023? If now carry me that time for Wazobia. Now go ask, even get this man, Ukubi. Ukubi will come climb one place, begin wire me questions. But the truth is that we must all agree that in an attempt to look for something, solution, we had become so disillusioned that any iota of solution that presents itself to us is acceptable.
But you're not going to blame us because when person don't suffer too much.
But if I don't come join you now, yes, if I don't come join you now, you can't hold it against me. Because of all the people we don't contest for this election in 2019 and 2023, I dare among the people we know everybody pass. I'm part of every government in the last 7 to 8 leaders in this country. But, I mean, enforcing them to do what is right. Starting from Babangida, followed by Shonekon, who spent 84 days in power. Now we drive and come out. Followed by Abacha, who then died. Followed by Abdul Salam. Yes, the one we did there now, who I challenged during the last peace. Where I tell him, say, make you go find somewhere, sit down. If to say now, no, I know 1993 June 12th election, we for know they do peace committee in 2023 or whatever time you started. Followed by Obasanjo, who we fought when he wanted to do third term. Yes,
I remember.
Obasanjo come bring Yaradua. Yaradua had died 5 months before he was declared dead. He was brain dead for 5 months in this country. Now we fight the battle to success. Yaradua when they come back. Followed by Jonathan from the Niger Delta region for the first time in the history of this country, and then followed by Buhari, who had been president before. So now we are back to Emilokon. So if I tell you that I know all these people, and they also know that I know them, and I tell you that this is what they are capable of doing, and you refuse to listen to me, and I stick with my own position, and you stick with your own position, there's nothing wrong with that.
Why you not join and take form Votron with Peter Obi?
There's no Votron to be formed now. If I join Peter Obi, I will be going against what I have always stood for, which is that I would never support a Nigerian leader who has been president, governor, chairman, local government councillor before, who I consider non-performing. It's the same reason I would never have joined hands with Atiku. And the Peter Obi you are talking about was vice president to Atiku when I was a presidential candidate in 2019.
Yes.
So what are we talking about? Before you discovered Peter Obi, I was already running for president. And now because I look small.
Okay. Okay, so what specific policies will you introduce when it comes to the structural problem of Nigeria in terms of governance and economy? Yeah.
So I have stated that the way I will tackle Nigeria's problem is to look at the foundational one. And constitution that we have now. Because it was created for the military and by the military. It's not a constitution for the Nigerian people. Every constitution has a preamble say we the people. This one there was nobody there. Except the man who typed it and photocopied it and gave it to us. Those are foundational problems that you bring about by getting people to create a new constitution. And they can now design their own article of unity and relationship through that constitution. That's what constitutions are about, whether they are written or unwritten. And the institutional part, I have broken down into about 10 places, which has to do with security, power. Because anybody that is deceiving you, that Nigeria will make it without electricity, you should ask the person to go and shut up. It's our number one institutional problem that must be fixed. If we want to compete in the world, we must get rid of darkness. Because electricity is not about darkness alone. It is also the fulcrum of technology today.
True.
So if you cannot power the devices that is driving the world, you are not ready. You are not part of the global community. You can't produce if you don't have electricity. And if you have electricity, you will improve security. And then, so there are 10 of those things, infrastructure, we have healthcare, we've discussed agriculture, but I'm not talking about agriculture of,
subsistence farming.
Yeah, subsistence, the sharpening knife or with stone. No, we've reached a level where with the governors who are driving SUVs, we tell them to reduce it to one and buy tractors instead. That can be, plowing everywhere and then add value to it. And then infrastructure we bring to it, we get it to where it needs to be and know how to add value. The thing that's most painful to me, I should say, is that governance is not rocket science at all. In fact, what they are doing in government in Nigeria today as a whole, that is costing us an arm and a leg, is what some people can do on their handheld devices.
I want to ask, you mentioned that, Peter, you said, can somebody actually go to Anambra and take a vacation? But Lagos, but Lagos here, right? Lagos here. People come, when you mention Nigeria, the first when you're abroad and you mention Nigeria, the first place they say is Lagos.
Are you in Lagos?
Yes, because that's where they feel like it's the city, like where people come and, take vacation.
Nigeria.
And it is said that the present president is the person that, built Lagos. So are you saying that the president is better than Peter Obi?
No. I don't think you follow me. I don't rate Lagos. Because this Lagos that you are in today, especially this part where you are staying, if you are not a scuba diver, or you should train to become one, especially those of you who are happy to live in Lekki, you are going to go underwater very soon. That is Lagos a beauty. So I am not one of the people who believe that Lagos would have been Lagos even if it didn't have government. Because it was already notorious for being Lagos. It's a historical city. There are historical cities. There are places in the world you go to that you just go because it's a historical space.
Yeah.
If Lagos was built or rebuilt, this is not the Lagos we have, This is a place I call a deodorized city. When something they smell, you can't put deodorant. When you go bath first.
Then it makes it bad.
Yeah, so it will be smelling. The odor would fight the deodorant. So that's what Lagos is. Lagos is a glorified deodorized city. This is not. A Lagos that you cannot go from one part of it to the other is very dirty. It's dingy. It's dark, mostly at night. It has no transportation, no mass transit. It has no drainage. It has no sewage.
Wow.
Do you know what it means for cities to be called cities?
So there's no city in Nigeria?
Well, it's just like asking me if there's a 5-star hotel in Nigeria. Probably not.
They say there's no foster safe.
You don't go, you don't.
I know, not mind me. So I want to ask you a question. I agree there's no 5-star. There's rarely 5-star hotel in Nigeria because we've seen 5 stars. So I want to ask you a question, sir. Do you smoke Igbo?
No, I don't.
Why do you want to legalize Igbo?
So, again, it is what I was telling you, that's probably my biggest problem in life is that I'm ahead of my time. And I understood, even from historical times, the role of, we call it Igbo because that's how to demonize it. It's actually, the best name to call it is the botanical name, cannabis. Cannabis. That's the coolest name to call it.
Cannabis.
And it has served as...
They call it, let's say they take that.
Yeah, no worry. The thing about me is that if I smoke Igbo, I won't hide it.
True that. I know.
If I just smoke Igbo, I'll be carrying the technological one around, the one that you charge. And,
yes, the vape one.
And sniff. So, but I don't, and it's because I think my forefathers, maybe they smoke Igbo and may come day high.
I see.
So, but it is Igbo has historically, that's cannabis has historically been part of a broad range of medicinal applications.
True. True.
And it's not just medicine. It's, in fact, there's a fable, I'm not sure if it is urban legend, about why Indians call it Indian hemp. It was that one day they were burning a rope that they use in anchoring their ship, and they all got high. And they tried to find out, where did this rope come from? Turns out it was made of cannabis plant. I bought a t-shirt, and it's the t-shirt that I think lasted the longest I've ever used from California. I was asking a friend of mine, this t-shirt I bought, I want to get it again. He said, do you know that's a cannabis t-shirt? Yes. So the various part of the plant, but the one that everybody knows is the one that makes people high, which is only 3% of the tree itself. The THC, part. That's the one that makes you high. But cannabis can be made, it can be used in curing all kinds of diseases. It's a major painkiller. It is used in, stopping people who are undergoing chemotherapy from throwing up on a regular basis. It improves
disease.
Yes, it improves your appetite. That's why people, when they smoke Igbo, the first thing they look for their food. You understand? So it's important that people understand that from that angle. And then I read in this country that every year the federal government incinerates 15 trillion naira worth of cannabis. And I'm asking, are you stupid? If your budget, how many trillion? 27 trillion. And cannabis is bringing 15 trillion. Just package it and sell to the people who need it.
And make far more than that 15 trillion.
And based on what I argued, the Ondo State governor at that time, who's late now, Akeredolu, who himself takes Igbo, went to, I think Thailand, to go and learn, I think Malaysia, to go and get a refinery for cannabis. Because the half bottle of cannabinoid oil
with oil
is more expensive than crude oil.
Yeah?
Yes. I'm telling you, you can buy a small one, like the small vial for a vial, as they call it, for $55. The barrel will be finished in one night. And the barrel of crude now is selling for how much? A whole barrel. Maybe they are $79 now. So, and then you have Ogbese in Ondo State. You have places in Delta State. If you are processing this magic weed, you won't need to be going to Abuja every month to go and be queuing up for the allocations that are not coming. But our leaders don't think. They always think about, like Fela used to say, now burn, now they sweet them pass. Everything, burn it down first. Canada that just legalized, they are making $4 billion in a city. New York is about to legalize, or is legalized partially. The sale of...
Partially they have.
Yes. The sale of the license alone has already brought in almost $1 billion. Just the sale of the license alone. So a product like that, or a plant that is such a magic, and you have it, you are blessed with it, you start burning it, and they are very happy to burn it. Yeah. But I'm telling you, anytime you see NDLA burning anything, they are not burning any Igbo. They are burning sawdust. The real Igbo has been transported to a safe place.
For sale?
Of course. That product is one of the most versatile products in this country.
True.
And you'll be shocked at the people who consume it. You look at some of us and say, Sowore, they smoke it. But no, some pastors, they cannot do without it before they go on the podium. Crazy. Doctors, it's, in fact, cannabis is not cheap anymore. Especially the refined one, where you plug it in, and you plug in the oil. You have to be very careful with it. If you over smoke it, it will bankrupt you. It's very expensive. Because there's, just as you have oil refineries now, you have cannabis refineries
What would you have done different in social media? Because the truth is, there's there's abuse of social media. There are people calling out. There are people insulting people. There are people arresting people for insulting people. Recently, Speed Darlington was
defamation.
I mean, what would you have done differently with social media?
You see, you must understand what social media is for you to deal with it as a problem. Social media serves different purpose for different people. In Nigeria, people see social media as equalizer.
Level playing field.
Yes. So the people they can't talk to,
they insult
they
you
want
anywhere.
to talk to. And it is because society have not permitted them other means of seeking redress. So for them, it is just to wake up and like just use it. And it is not going after social media that will solve the problem. It is ensuring that society is socially just. The reason I'm saying so is that social media did not emanate from Nigeria.
True.
Yes. In fact, the owner of Twitter is more toxic than an average Twitter user in Nigeria. So how many police go arrest Elon Musk? He will abuse the Democratic Party people, Kamala, every minute. You go to his page now.
He was at Trump's rally. Jumping up and down.
He's abusing the president of Brazil. He's abusing the Supreme Court judge, CJN of Brazil, their own Chief Justice of Brazil, CJB, if that's what they call them. He's abusing the president of Venezuela. But that is how he sees the platform to express himself.
Free speech.
So we must understand here too that we need free speech. But what has become a problem here is that we have free speech. The problem is freedom after speech. People are going after freedom after speech. But our position is that the police have no business being used as a tool to hunt people down when they feel defamed. If you feel defamed, the place to go, the appropriate forum is to seek for civil, redress.
Yes.
Using police is not appropriate because what you have is that the same rich people or powerful people are highly connected use the same social media to do whatever they want. Are you getting my point? Somebody mentioned Burna Boy arresting. But I also saw something from Burna Boy referring to a girl as collecting 20,000. Is she because she's a nobody? Is that more the defamation in that one is enough to make that girl to go and commit suicide? Because what you are saying is that her whole existence is just 20,000 naira prostitute. I guess that's what he meant. But that's defamation. And if she wants to pursue it, that can be criminal. If you are not in Nigeria, because there's criminal defamation up to Abuja.
Yes.
But anything below that is civil offense. But what people should learn about all the social media space is that if you're a public figure, learn to deal with what the public throws at you. If the public makes you wealthy, don't forget that some other day they might throw some pieces at you. That's why defamation in the US is a very difficult case to win. Even if you go to them, they will tell you, are you not the moment the person can play that you are a public figure, it's very difficult. There was a pastor in this country who went to the US to sue me for defamation.
Pastor Kwa?
Yes.
Which pastor?
He's the MFM Geo. Yes.
Olukoya.
He sued me for defamation in the US.
Why not Nigeria?
He went to Calabar to sue me. He didn't make much progress because I wasn't in Nigeria. They couldn't serve me. So, but he wasn't interested in service. He just wanted to, according to him, teach me a lesson. So he came to the forum, and we were in court for a long time. And then when we reached a point, that's why you don't sue for defamation anyhow in the US. They said to him, sir, there's some allegation against you in the UK that they're taking money from your church and bringing it to Nigeria.
Hallelujah.
Yes. How do you explain that? He said, he will provide explanation. They said, but you said that we defamed you. How did we defame you? Did you lose any money? He had already boasted that since the defamation started, that his number of members of his church has increased. So they said you didn't lose anything. But can you show to us, sir, by the text messages you received, how many people felt bad because this story was written against? I said there are thousands of them, thousands of emails. Okay, no vex. So go and provide the evidence. That's what they can discover. Now, so Baba no come back.
Oh, well. Then that's how you won.
So we went to the judge and said, the man hasn't proven his case. You know what the judge did? He awarded me $7,000.
Oh, he paid?
For his refusal to answer to our discovery request.
And a person types, they won't give you like that.
Now so the money come out of it. And I felt bad about it because I know it's not.
Oh, you collect the money?
Oh, yes.
Why not?
It was the time I was in Abuja. I have no money to pay my rent. So
Glory.
I just use it. I say, well, God works in very wonderful ways. But on the serious side, I'm explaining to you how defamation works.
Yeah.
It's not something that somebody can just feel like you are defamed. Because some of the things they actually call defamation in Nigeria is not defamation. when somebody is speaking truth, so he's not defaming you, especially if he can prove it. And in our own case, we're able to prove what we said. We don't even reach the level of proof when the case fell apart. Because we're proving that, look, you say you are performing a miracle. Let's say go and bring the person that who was blind, who you made to see. They now started looking for a blind person in office. Because the person that they presented as a person that was blind did not exist.
But there are real men of God in Nigeria now, no? There are real men of God in Nigeria.
It's not, you see, when you start calling people men of God, you are assuming that God is one entity somewhere who issues ID card to people to be his
servants
or men.
Or to work in his vineyard.
Even the God of Old Testament in the Bible is different from the one in the New Testament. Yeah. So that's why they keep reading the Bible up and down. I guess that's the reason why they also tell people not to read the Bible on their own. Because if you want to understand religion, go and read the religious text. That's where to get knowledge.
But you see, they are different. The truth is, I want to talk. I'm not choosing. I want to talk.
Please.
So one more question before we take it. We'll soon take it on. We have seen an increase in this in ethnic bigotry, not just amongst ordinary people, but even people in
high places,
privileged positions. And it would appear like it has become some sort of normal in our society today. Recently, soup cause problem. Somebody even they invite DSS because they come begin they paste the address of her business on top of X. So tell the person they say DSS if anything happens to me because she shared an opinion about soup. People come begin talk say you come from this ethnic group. They say we not get soup. All those kinds of things. You will be in soup. It would appear like people look for any excuse to just show that this is who we are, and we all deal with the same problems. What is it that you have politicians taking advantage of this and sowing discord?
Completely. It has been well noted that when people have no vision, the best tool in their hand is division.
When people have no vision,
the best tool in their hand is division.
So when you find people creating these divisive rhetorics, I can say it categorically that during the election, that there were people in Lagos State paid to sow ethnic division on social media. It's a well-known fact, well-funded. It was part of their election strategy to say, look, these people are going to come and collect your house. They are going to collect your thing. So, and after the election, because of the way the election, it got worse. But to think that they have stopped is the biggest mistake we can make. But the other part of it is also what I was talking about, the frivolous manner in which public opinion has also been taken by those who have no opinion. And it is the reason we fight some of these useless battles. Nigerians have a problem with bad governance. They went and started shutting down, Uber in South Africa. And they are praising themselves. We just shut down Uber in South Africa. Why can't you shut down the people who are oppressing you? Or when we start all these jollof wars, our jollof is better. People cannot even afford jollof. They are the ones who are talking about, just like I read somewhere yesterday, said some people will turn on their data, but they'll forget to turn on their brains. Yes. So that is very important. And that is why people who have genuine opinions, because part of the biggest problem, and I'll say this, is that a lot of Nigerians who genuinely are sensible, Nigeria has reached a point where the people who are sensible are afraid to speak.
Yes.
And the people who are not sensible are constantly speaking.
True.
And this was social media. So you find a lot of people who otherwise are decent, who are brilliant, intelligent, who have coherence in presentation of their ideas. The moment they put something small and 50 people start attacking them, they will never come there. Because they can't afford, they can't even deal with it. They can't they don't want their children to say, Daddy, because somebody will just somebody will go into a what's it called, WhatsApp group, and they'll say, today we want to go and drag Sowore. And they will come and they'll be like, did you see how we drag you? Of course, some people are not draggable. Those of us who know how the social media space work. But a lot of people are not versed in understanding that, or the nuanced way of how people work. And the worst part is that it has reached a point where that has become a cottage industry. So there are people who are now specialists. You just say, do you want to drag somebody? Some people will even tell you that I know if you use my own influence, but to get the other guys where they assassinate people's character. Just give me 200,000, I'll give them 100. You go see what's going to happen tomorrow. That's a cottage industry that propels some of the things. But we must go to the fundamental of it, is that there are also people who profit from the distraction. And I'm sure the people in government love it when you are fighting over pepper soup.
Yes.
Unlike when Nigerians are like happy that they have been able to delay Uber rides.
Whiskey and Davido.
Or, all those distractions. The government loves it. They must enjoy it because while you're at it, it is during the period that they are fighting all these small, useless fights that they get to increase fuel price.
Yes,
it's then that they do the worst things possible.
Talking about distraction.
Yes.
I don't know if it was a tweet I saw. Do you think that the National Assembly calling our brother VDM and Bobrisky is needed? Is Bobrisky a distraction?
Look, I have to say this.
Shout out to VDM, by the way.
Yes, as a preamble, that I am not a Rolodex for activism. So I cannot tell you that this person is an activist or not. I will be going beyond my brief. I can only speak for myself. But the reason why you find it ludicrous is that of all the issues afflicting Nigeria, that the National Assembly of any type, and that's why I think we should have them cut in half, get rid of one, and the only one that exists, we should make it part-time and pay them minimum wage. Nobody, so that they will know that it's not
It's
a
work.
joke. Yes, let them go to work. We have problems afflicting the country, and then the only one you're interested in is Bobrisky. Bobrisky is just a symptom of what the prison system is. They themselves, they know that what has driven the prison to be doing what they are doing to what they did with Bobrisky has nothing to do with being Bobrisky. It has something to do with the systemic decay of the country. And where I had problem then with VDM is that the minister under whose supervision Bobrisky action happened, you now ran to him to pat him on the back. Say, Minister, I think I read that one wrongly on my side. And it then started to make me feel like maybe this whole thing was a distraction. Because in any serious country, the first person that should have been fired when the Bobrisky thing came out was the minister. In any decent country, he would have resigned because you are the minister in charge of all the prisons.
Maybe he went to the minister because the minister took action immediately.
No, which action? You want to tell me the minister doesn't know that the prison is bad? This minister, except we are just joking now. They know. They know how money goes in the prison, and they know how prisoners are treated. Even before he became a minister, he would have known about our prisons now. Maybe part of the condition to become a minister is to spend one night in Kuje prison.
Be an alumni.
Because me, I have spent a night in death row before in Kuje. So I cannot tell you now. Somebody cannot tell me if I'm president of Nigeria that, I don't know what is happening. Before we even get to Bobrisky, I would have, it's an overhaul that must happen immediately from day one. There's nobody who doesn't know about the prison system in this country. This VIP thing they are talking about. People even go inside prison to go and shoot movie. You pay people to go and shoot movie inside prison. In this country, you may not know, but those of us who are in the sector, we know these things now.